Hi Cancer, welcome to your November 2023 Astro-Tarot with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these readings are for your Sun, Moon and Ascendant sign. So whether you're a Sun, Moon or Rising sign Cancer, this is for you. But remember, they are general readings. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody. Use your own discernment. But more importantly, I use whole sign, tropical, Western astrology. So if you are going to watch just one of these, I do advise that you make sure it's for your ascendant. It's going to be the most accurate on that day-to-day level. All right. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So these will be for your lunations. I'll pop those to the side. These will be for the bulk of your read. And we are going to start on the 4th of November. All right, so on this day, Saturn is going to go direct. But the reason this is important, right? So the moon is going to come into moon, your ruler is coming into your, it will be in your sign at this point. It'll be at 28 degrees. It's going to oppose Pluto at 28 degrees of your opposite sign in the 7th house of Capricorn, right? Now, this is, and both of these planets or both of these energies are going to square the nodes, Aries and Libra, right? So the north node in Aries, the south node in Libra at 24 degrees. This is happening across the first house. This is like you, your body, your physical self, right? Your personality, how you present to the world. Your 4th house of home, family, property, real estate, and your deep emotional self. Your 7th house of significant contracts, one-to-one relationships, your partner, your marriage, all of that stuff. And then your 10th house of career, right? Social status, public standing. This is setting up what we call a grand cardinal cross. Now for you, Pisces represents your 9th house, right? So this is the house or the house of higher philosophies, but spiritual beliefs, higher education, your religious and spiritual pursuits. It's also a house of the future. It's authority figures. It also represents legal matters and proceedings, right? So the fact that this card is the fact that this is showing up for your Saturn is going direct there for you is a big deal. It's a big deal for all of us. We feel a Saturn going direct because it tends to really drill down on the challenges that it will bring. Now, usually this kind of takes a while to get up to speed, but because we've got such an emphasis on cardinal energy, which is about forward momentum, pushing forward or driving something forward, I feel like we're going to feel this Saturn going direct in a much bigger kind of way. All right, so the moon, your ruler, is in your sign. It's strong there, does good work. This is a powerful energy and it's a birth of some kind, but it's a difficult birth. The beginning of the end in a way as well. That's kind of how I feel this is happening. Now, given that the nodes are involved, there is like a fated energy to this. Although Saturn goes direct on this day, the transit and the aspect is one that provides a shudder forward, right? You're going to feel it. Now, in all of these major sort of areas of your life, I feel like this is going to show up for you in some way. So you'll be feeling this because your needs, your deepest needs, are to really look after and nourish yourself at this moment in time. And you know what the hard sort of past or external circumstances that your partner or your significant other or a contract of some sort or an interaction or in a collaborative partner, right? This could be personal, professional or platonic relationships, connections or collaborations in some way. They are sort of out of your control and they're demanding more of your time, effort and energy at this time. For this, you've got the Justice card, so you really do need to find a way to balance it out with the King of Swords. So there's potentially a legal element to this with the Strength card, right? So that King of Swords, usually an air sign male, Aquarius, Gemini, Libra, comes up with the Justice card. That's a Libra male, so that's one way this could show up. This could also show up as somebody who is putting a lot of pressure on you to perform in some way, right? It's almost like they're really pushing or goading you in some way to maybe to get the best out of you. But in a lot of ways, I kind of feel like this is, you know, someone's really sort of, taking, you might actually feel like they're taking the mick in some way, but it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. On the 12th of November, Mars is coming into an opposition with Uranus. This is happening for you across the 5th and the 11th houses, right? So Mars in your 5th house of, pleasure, joy, romance, etc. Also creative ideas and endeavors. And also your children, if you have them. Uranus in the 11th house of, over there in the sign of Taurus for you is in the 11th house. This is an interactions or a connections axis. Now, Mars is action, energy, irritation, excitation, passion. It's also a severing energy that creates sort of like a tension. Now, what I'm calling this is what happens when an immovable force, or should I say an unstoppable force, Mars, that relentless drive forward, meets an unstoppable, an immovable object, Uranus in the sign of Taurus, right? What you're going to get, this is an explosive combination. Uranus rules shocking, twists of fate, changes of direction and decision. It rules things like divorce. It rules things like, the breaking of old structures and paradigms. It's the energy of revelation. If ever there were a time where the Tower card is showing up for us all in some way, shape or form, it's going to be this, right? Mars opposing Uranus. These are the two planets that typify the energies of the Tower card. Now, what I've said to everybody is between the 10th and the 14th of November, no big online purchases. Don't leave your payment gateways open, right? This isn't a time just to, oh yeah, I'll get round to that. It's not, look after your devices, phones, laptops, TVs, all of that kind of stuff, because these two energies can talk about technology as well. So you do need to watch out for those. It's an explosive combination between that 5th house and the 11th house of your higher aspirations, goals, dreams, and friendships. This is not a time to mix business with pleasure at all, all right? I'm just going to tell you straight up. The interpersonal spaces of the 5th house where Mars is and the 11th where Uranus is, this could be a bust up with friends or even a group association of some sort. You could see like a bit of some kind of friction shows up. It's also possible here that you might cut ties or divest interests with a group that you've been tied to or invested for some time. It could be for some of you that you withdraw from some kind of social media. It might be that you close down an account or put it on snooze or whatever the case might be. It could be that a friend or a colleague leaves your life in some way, but by a mutually volatile agreement, if that can, that's a bit of an oxymoron, but you get my point. Mars also rules your career, and as such it sees you potentially creating something or going in a direction that sees you parting ways with others of your field, right? Uranus rules your 8th house as well. So this is a finance house, but it's also a house of secrets. It feels to me as if some kind of information that finds you that shows that there's been some kind of foul play, and this might be, where and potentially why you go to war. I don't say that lightly. And one thing I say about Cancerians, they're loving, they're kind, they're very tolerant, but once they realise that you've really gone in for them, when the crab bites back, right, those pincers come out. So it'll be interesting to see how this shapes up. For this, you've got the 10 of Cups, nice, with the Queen of Swords, okay, and the Tower card. Well, there you go, right? Look, 10 of Cups, this transit will ultimately lead to some kind of liberation and some kind of financial blessing. I truly believe that. That Queen of Swords means that you will have to fight for it, potentially in a very official kind of way. With the Tower card here, this is a bust up that is not going to be ignored. This will be with a friendship group. It will be with a specific friend. You'll see it in some way, shape or form. I'm really sorry to say that. As many of you know, I have a Cancer moon, so I'm kind of looking at this like, oh shit, okay, here we go. It's going to be what it will be, right? On the 18th of November, Mars is going to come into a conjunction with the Sun. This is a Mars Cazimi, right? Now, if a Mercury Cazimi is inspired thought, Then a Mars Cazimi is inspired action, right? Mercury Cazimi brings us knowledge or information, or we have a really brilliant idea, some bright sparking moment, whereas this is like an inspired action. I would put money on it that there's some kind of action that you take on this day that gets greater results than you expect in the future. A new Mars cycle is being born in some way, shape or form. This means that Mars is kind of all steam ahead, and powerfully so, because it's in its own sign. It's coming into contact with the sun. That's giving it new heat, new light, new vibrations, new vitality, new energy. And excuse me, what I love most about this, because it's in the sign of Scorpio, it's deep, right? It really, Mars in the sign of Scorpio is like a rolling boil. It's strategic. It's, you know, like that really deep warmth that comes from within, right? It's like a simmer where you know, where you see the surface of the water like rolling as a boil. This is that kind of energy, whereas the sun represents, the sun rules your 12th house to start with. Which is a very spiritual space, and it also rules your it rules authority figures. So this could be like, and the 5th house is pleasure, joy, romance, fun, enjoyment, speculative endeavors. This is a very lucky house as well. So this could be where an authority figure, a father figure, somebody that you really look up to could actually show you some kind of favor at this time in a really great way. It could just come as a blessing that is given to you, because the 5th house is a very lucky house. If you've got children, this could be a creative idea, or children of some, like if you've got any, that could bode really well for you, right? Where they are being highlighted and they exalt you in some way. It could also be a romance that shows up out of the blue that is like really exciting, very sexual, with somebody that is in a position of authority maybe. It's a chance for you to refresh your courage, to be bold and proud in your pursuit of pleasure. What more can you say, right? So for this, you've got the 6 of Pentacles, you've got the 3 of Swords, and you've got the 2 of Wands. So this can actually have a financial benefit or blessing all over it. I love this. If you're going for, this just came to me, if you're going for some kind of severance or severance package or whatever that case might be, you'll get it and it will be substantial. But it kind of feels like there's a trade-off here. You're getting some financial blessing, but you're also having to release or reveal something moving forward. So I'm intrigued by this for sure. On the 22nd of November, Venus is going to oppose Chiron. So Venus is going to be in your 4th house of home, family, property, real estate. Chiron is in the sign of Aries, so it's in your 10th house at the moment. Venus in her own sign. So Venus is strong here. This is your family, your home life, and your family and your home life, but also your public persona and social status. They're coming into a tussle of some sort, right? It suggests that you're like, what has your career cost you? Your family is going to show you where you need to be more focused and maybe more present, which is odd to say to a Cancerian actually, but that's the feeling that I got from this, right? Venus in Libra is fair and just and balanced. This feels like the relationship between family at this time will be strained, and even if it's just the others and you feeling kind of almost like you're feeling the emotional brunt of it, which is usually what, you know, Cancerians tend to take the emotional flack for everything anyway. Something could make you like, yeah, something could make you quite mad about this at the moment, and I don't doubt it, because it's almost like you're, maybe you look at a situation in the family and just say like, you know, this one time that I needed you guys to just have your shit together, could you not? For this, you've got the 9 of Swords, so it might not be as bad as you're seeing it. So, you know, try to curb the drama, as I like to say. Then you've got the Judgment card, and you've got the 6 of Swords. The career flourishing that you're looking for is coming, but it's going to require a moment of pure honesty, and it's also going to show you, I think this transit is really going to highlight to you what you need to let go of in order for you to have the success that you crave when it comes to your career. And I think it's going to be very, very clear to you what or who in the home sector needs to go in order for you to kind of really move forward now. And then finally on the 25th of November, Mars comes into the sign of Sagittarius. It comes into your 6th house. Mars exalts in the 6th house. It does very good work here. It likes to be here. You might find that you start to get really proactive about cleaning the house, doing your DIY, maybe getting your steps in. You start really paying attention to your diet. You start to get almost like laser focused because you're like, yes, you know what? I want to start really improving myself. I want to start looking after myself. I want to start making sure that my body is doing everything that it needs to. This is a boost of energy and vitality here, but it's also potentially inflammation and irritation, which means you have to use the energy in order for it not to become a problem for you later down the line. Okay. The sun is here now at the same time. So the focus here becomes how you use your energy on a daily basis. It's also going to mean that the energy that will need careful direction at this time, because you might become restless. If you're prone to inflammation in general, especially of the hips, etc., a good stretching routine might really help at this time. I'm not a doctor, I can't give you medical advice, that's not this. Animal flow exercises, if you haven't ever looked at that and you've got problems with your hips and your back and stuff, that might actually be really good for you at this time. And it also might be a good time to bring mind, body and spirit together. Mercury, the planet of the mind, the sun, and Mars are all in the sign of your physical body. And I see this as kind of like your mind, body and spirit are all coming together now. So do something with it, right? Use this energy before it uses you. For this, you've got the Death card. So that's like literally the end of some kind of bad habit. With the Hanged Man, that's literally like the end of or the death of inertia, where you haven't been moving, where you've been stagnant or stuck, where you haven't been able to just get out from underneath something. That goes away now. That 25th is going to bring some good stuff here. And then you've got the Five of Cups. One way this potentially shows up, you might really go through a grieving period at this time where you look at something and say, wow, you know what, I feel like I've wasted so much time. You haven't, right? That whole sunk cost fallacy energy is written into the DNA of 2023 because it's a 7-year. Don't let that convince you or confuse you. All right, like there's a lot of that pervading 2023. It was one of the things that I talked about in my year ahead numerology predictions. Excuse me. Okay, so for your full moon and your new moon, ooh, fancy new stuff. All right, so the new moon in the sign of Scorpio in your pleasure zone, your joy, creativity, sex and sensuality, but it's not like the 8th house is like sex, taboo, sensuality, whereas the 5th house is like, yeah, I want to get it on, I want to get my flirt on, I want to have fun, all of that kind of stuff. It's also creative endeavors and children. For this, you've got the gate 10 and empower. If you are empowered, you live your truth. And by living your truth, you empower others to do the same. This is a card of clarity, effectively, and it basically says, just do you. And when you do that, you are going to inspire and empower others to do exactly that as well. And by doing it, you will feel really, really good. That 5th house new moon actually can be great for you. So then you've got the full moon in the sign of Gemini, which for you is in the 12th house. You've got the gate 58 and joy. Joy, joy, joy. Just look at it. The card itself is beautiful. And the message here is that full moon is going to show you what has been stood in the way of your joy, what's been stood in the way of you enjoying your joy and your happiness and your fun and your abundance. But it's also highlighting to you where maybe you get in your own way and stop yourself enjoying things for any number of reasons. Maybe you don't feel like you deserve it. Maybe do you know what I mean? Like whatever the case might be. This is you really, I think, getting very honest with yourself about whether you are enjoying life or not, as the case might be, and what might be stopping you from doing so. All right. And really, the way that we truly empower ourselves is by living in joy, you know, by really experiencing it, by being truly present. I don't know if anybody else has had those moments, you know, like where you lose yourself in the dancing that you're doing, or, you know, the love making that you're having, or the food that you're eating, or like, you know, where you have like an experience of the world where it's like everything else just goes away for a minute and you're like, I'm just totally here in this moment and I am absolutely loving it. That is the essence of life. The 12th house is a very spiritual energy. So that full moon shining a light in that space, it can highlight to you, because it's a spotlight, right? It highlights, it reveals something, the full moon. So this could really show you how and why you are not enjoying life to the full. And it could also really help you tap into experiencing life as a spiritual unfolding on a consistent basis. If you love the way I do astrology, if you love these astro tarot scopes, you can get a personal session with me. We go one-on-one, we talk about your chart, we look at what's coming up for you. You can get that on the link in the description box below. The work that I'm doing with clients on this stuff is absolutely phenomenal and we are having a blast. So if you are interested and you'd like to get your own and you want to delve into it, you know where to find me. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic month. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Take care and I'll see you soon.